In today's video, we're going to be going over how to set up towing Google Ads to actually convert in 2026, because one of the biggest changes that's happened on Google Ads this year is that Google will be phasing out call-only ads. So we need to actually adjust. We need to change the campaigns. We need to change the approach so that we can actually still convert leads from our campaigns. And I'm going to show you some of the things that I've been doing to actually convert 44% of clicks into leads on this towing Google Ads campaign. And I'm going to walk you through some things at a high level so that you can take them and apply them to your campaign. If you're new here, my name is Chris. I cover all things Google Ads and local lead generation. So if you want to see more stuff like this, be sure to like and subscribe. And if you are somebody who does own a towing company and you kind of don't want to be bothered with any of this, you'd rather have somebody else set it up for you, there is a link in the description below for a free consultation. You can reach out to me that way and I can see if I can help you out. But in the meantime, let's jump into this campaign and I'll walk you through some of the steps that you'll need to take to make sure you're setting up your Google Ads for your towing company to convert moving forward. So ultimately, one of the biggest challenges with shifting away from call-only ads is the reality is call-only ads in the past were pretty straightforward. You just kind of set up some ads, people would tap to call on their mobile device, and it just kind of worked. It would convert well. You would get phone calls, and it was very, very simple. But as of this year, I can't remember the exact timelines. I think we might already be at the point where you cannot create new call-only ads. But over the course of this year, Google is going to start phasing them out. And eventually, they're just not going to let you run them at all. If you have call-only ads in your campaign right now, they're just going to stop serving at the end of this year. So really the biggest challenge is we need to make sure we're still converting enough of those clicks into leads so that the campaign can be profitable. And really one of the biggest things we got to focus on is getting this conversion rate up as high as possible. So I'm going to walk through some of the things that I've been doing on this campaign to get this conversion rate up to 44, 45%. And try to keep that cost per conversion as low as possible. So first thing we should talk about is the keyword selection. So I'm going to open up the keywords over here and go through some of the things that I've been bidding on and match types that I've been using. Now, one of the biggest things kind of holding this particular campaign back is just really the market that it's in. It's in Seattle. So Seattle, everything out here is ridiculously expensive, including the advertising, but we're doing the best we can with kind of what we got over here. But pretty much what you want to do with your keyword selection is, number one, you want to make sure your keywords are high intent and very relevant to what you want to be showing your ads for. So in this particular campaign, I'm not showing the ads for things like tire changes, jump starts, lockouts, things like that. I'm keeping it very general. So things like towing near me, and then geographic things, towing Seattle, towing Bothell, towing Redmond, all that kind of stuff. Keeping all that very relevant, and you want to make sure you're not just putting in really broad keywords that are just like towing or something like that. You want to make sure that intent behind the keyword is there. You want to make sure there is buyer intent, and you don't want to just put keywords in that are too broad. The other thing that I've been doing that has been working really well for this campaign is using only exact match keywords. So every keyword in this campaign is exact match. I've tested out phrase match on this campaign and others before, and you tend to end up getting that's when you start getting the phone calls where people are like, hey, can you like tow somebody that's in front of my driveway or something like that. Doesn't mean they don't completely get filtered out. Sometimes those do happen, but that's when you start getting things that you just don't want to have your ads showing up for. So I stay away from phrase match because it keeps these search terms as clean as possible, and it keeps the lead quality as clean as possible. And when I say search terms, the result of having these keywords with these match types, if we open up the search terms, this is actually what the ads have been showing up for. You can see we're showing up for things that are very relevant to what we want the ads to show up for. So tow truck near me, towing near me, roadside assistance, towing service near me, roadside assistance near me. Like, this is the stuff that you want to be showing up for. And if you're opening up the search terms and you're not seeing this kind of stuff, then it's probably a keyword problem. So right off the bat, you want to make sure you're using the right keywords, the right match types. And then on top of that, if we go into the negative keywords, you want to make sure that you have negative keywords in here. So for really any markets that you're running in, you want to have all your competitors in there. You want to go through the keyword planner and then add in potential negative keywords from there if there are types of things that you just straight up cannot tow. So you can see right here, 18-wheeler. If you go through the keyword planner, there are sometimes searches for 18-wheeler towing or like heavy duty towing, things like that. If you don't have the capacity to do that, you want to add that in as a negative keyword so that you can control all of that as best as you can. Negative keywords are going to be crucial for filtering out all the stuff you don't want to show up for, because on the front end of your campaign, you need to make sure that your traffic is as clean as possible. It's as relevant as possible to what you deliver. And a combination of the keywords, the match types, and then the negative keywords is going to help you do that and really help to keep your campaign as clean as possible to make sure your lead quality is as good as it possibly can be. Now, the next thing we want to talk about is the ad groups on the campaign. I covered this a little bit in the case study, but when it comes to boosting up the conversion rate and cutting down the cost per lead as much as possible, we need to make sure the campaign is relevant to what somebody is searching for. So in this campaign, a lot of it, like I mentioned before, is more sort of generic towing terms. Obviously, if you wanted to advertise for things like the lockouts and the jump starts and all that sort of stuff, you can have ad groups for that in here. But a lot of the ad groups in here are more focused on geographic areas, or more generic kind of towing near me type keywords. And you want to make sure that you are splitting things out into different ad groups like this, because all of the keywords in these ad groups are relevant to that particular search. So for example, something like Federal Way or Seattle, all of the keywords in here are things like towing Seattle. All the keywords in the roadside assistance ad group are roadside assistance keywords. Towing company, people searching for towing companies. Towing near me, kind of more generic, hey, tow truck near me type keywords. So you want to split out your campaign like that. Helps keep things relevant. The more relevant your ads are to what somebody is searching, the higher that conversion rate is going to be, the higher the click-through rate is going to be, and the better your campaign is going to perform overall. And same thing with the lockouts and jump starts. If you did want to have something for jump starts, you would have an ad group specifically for jump starts or for lockouts. And then, well, lockouts, you'd probably have to have, that's a whole other conversation, because you probably have to do a verification through Google, because locksmith type stuff is kind of a nightmare with Google ads. But let's just talk about jump starts. Jump starts, you'd pretty much just have an ad group for jump starts. You'd have keywords in there for jump starts, ads pertaining to that, and then a landing page talking about that. So it's really, really straightforward. Each one of these ad groups need to be treated like it's kind of a funnel in and of itself. So everything in that funnel needs to align down to that landing page or that conversion point. And then that's going to help you get a better performing campaign. Now, one of the bigger things here with transitioning away from call only ads is, my biggest piece of advice is, if you want to just focus on phone calls, you just want to get that higher converting, high intent lead, is making sure your campaign is running mobile only. And it's very, very easy to do. If you go to Insights and Reports right here, go to when and where ads showed. This is kind of the next part in the process here, is you want to make sure in here that you completely turn off computers and tablets. So to do that, it's really, really simple. If you want to have a mobile only campaign, go in here, go under computers, under this bid adjustment column, you just hit the little pencil, you hit decrease, and then go to 100%. That'll completely shut off computers. And then you do the same thing for tablets. You set it to -100%, just like I have here. And then you have a mobile only campaign. So essentially what you're doing is you are setting up your campaign very similarly to that call only campaign before, where previously the big benefit of call only campaigns is it literally just shows an ad with a phone number on a mobile device, and then you literally just tap to call on the mobile device. There's a couple other things that you want to have in place, which I'll cover in just a second, but that is very, very crucial as kind of like a first step on top of the campaign structure stuff, is making sure that you are showing on mobile only. Now, the next thing we got to talk about are the ads on the campaign. And there's a couple things that I can't just show off of a client campaign. Number one being ads, number two being the landing page. I just don't want to put that on the internet personally, just for their sake. I don't really want to give that away for them. But a couple things you got to keep in mind. So when it comes to the ads themselves, obviously you cannot create call only ads anymore. So what you have to do is create responsive search ads. So if you are in your campaign, this is a demo campaign right now, you go into an ad group, you go to ads, you hit the little plus sign here, and then you hit responsive search ad. So with these ad types, it's a little different. It's a little bit more complicated than call only ads. What you have to do is you put in your landing page URL right here. This display path is usually just a way to add in more keywords to that ad itself. And then what you want to do is you want to fill out every single one of the headlines in this ad. It seems like a lot, it kind of is. You can use some AI brainstorming if you want to do that as well. I do that on a lot of my campaigns. You want to make sure that you're filling in every single one of these headlines and make sure it is relevant to what people are searching for. So put yourself in the mind of somebody who is on the side of the road and they need a tow. They are going to want to know, are you close by? How quickly can you be here? Any other kind of benefit points that you have relevant to your business. Then you also want to incorporate things like the keyword that they're searching for. So if it is relevant to roadside assistance, for example, you want to have roadside assistance keywords in the headlines. You want to have calls to action, schedule a tow now, call to book immediately. We can be there in whatever your ETA might be, things like that. Have those in the headlines. And then on top of that, you want to have descriptions. So you get 4 different descriptions. You need to fill all 4 of these out. And then this is, again, kind of keep in mind keywords, benefits, calls to action, maybe differentiators for your business compared to your competitors in the area, and then fill out all of those things. And then once that's done, you hit save, and then you are pretty much good to go on the responsive search ads. And usually what I'll do is in each one of those ad groups is I will put 2 different responsive search ads to start and then see which one performs better. Then you go with the winner, and then you can create another ad and then test against that if you need to keep improving that performance. So this is the responsive search ad side of things, and it's a little bit more complicated, but this is essentially a requirement at this point. You have to fill these out, fill in all the headlines, and then we'll move on to the next step, which is actually putting a phone number on the ad so people can just tap to call on Google. So another really important thing you want to have on top of those responsive search ads is assets in general, but specifically for this video, I want to talk about the call asset. So you set up your responsive search ad, and then what you want to do is you come over here to assets, and there's a lot of other stuff you can set up here, which I do recommend setting up. But when it comes to the call ad, you just click on this little button right here, hit the plus sign, hit the call ad asset right here. And what you want to do is you put in a phone number that will actually be displayed on your ad in Google like that. And if we jump back to this other campaign right here, I can show you the impact of this. If you avoid setting this up and you only have a landing page, you will miss out on conversions. If we go to conversion action during this time period, 40 people submitted a phone call from the landing page, and then 19 people just clicked on the ad and called. So this is essentially a quote unquote free way to get more leads from those ads. You want to make sure you have this call asset set up, because similar to call only ads, people can just tap to call directly from Google, and a handful of people every month will do that. So make sure you have this set up. One really important thing you want to do though, and make note of, is that the phone number that you're putting in this ad has to be on the landing page of the website you're sending the traffic to. So if you are, if there's a mismatch, or it's a different number in the ad versus a different number in the headline, it will get disapproved. So you need to make sure this phone number is on the landing page you're sending traffic to. And you want to make sure this is set up, because it's super, super important to making sure you're not losing that kind of tap to call functionality. And it'll pretty much, like I said, get you more free leads every month. So make sure you have this set up on your campaign, because it's going to help a ton. Now, the last and arguably probably the most important piece of this puzzle is the landing page. Now, the landing page, I'll show you an example of kind of a demo page in just a second. I can't show you this client's landing page specifically, but I can show you a demo of just sort of a generic landing page. The whole idea is you need to send your traffic after they click on one of those responsive search ads to a well-optimized, mobile-optimized landing page that is designed to just get people to call. So that is a very, very important part of the process. The reason why it's so important is it's going to have the biggest impact on this conversion rate number right here. Conversion rate is the percentage of clicks that turn into leads. So ultimately, we want to get as many clicks to turn into leads as possible, because the more clicks we get turned into leads, the lower our cost per conversion is going to be. The lower that cost per conversion is going to be, that means you can get more leads at a cheaper cost, which is going to help you get a more profitable campaign. And in a lot of cases, sending traffic to, say, the homepage of a website can end up converting at like 10% sometimes. So if this conversion rate, just as a quick example, if this was half of what it is now, if this is at 20%, then this cost per conversion number could be $70, $80. And then at that point, the campaign is just not even profitable. So we need to make sure that conversion rate is as high as possible. And one of the best ways to do that is sending traffic to landing pages. Now, within the settings, we already set up the mobile only kind of campaign setup. So turned off computers, turned off tablets. And then what you want to do is send that traffic to a mobile optimized landing page. Obviously, this is just a demo page. And on your page for towing, you will not have a form. So the way I like to set it up is you have a headline, a subheadline, and then you can have just a big call button like right underneath that saying, hey, do you need a tow now? Tap this button to call. You just need to make the mobile landing page very simple, very straightforward. It needs to be very easy to interact with. And people overthink landing pages a lot. Honestly, there's not like some magical layout, not some magical thing you need to have on the page, but ultimately you need to have, a very clear top of the page above the fold section where it's, headline, subheadline, call to action button, tap to call button, And then throughout the page, just some about information, areas you service, things that make you different, all that kind of stuff. Maybe pictures of yourself, the truck, the fleet of trucks that you might have. Really just kind of making you seem like a trusted local business and not just some random dude with a truck. So the more you can do that on the page, the better. Just kind of building up trust. Another thing you want to have is put as many reviews on there as possible. More calls to action, services, pretty much it's all basic stuff that you put on a website. You're just kind of condensing it and formatting it into a format that is just mobile optimized. It works better on mobile, looks better on mobile. And that is the landing pages at a high level, but that is super, super important. You want to make sure that you have those in place, because if you don't, that conversion rate can start climbing. If that the conversion rate can start dropping. If that conversion rate starts dropping, the conversion cost per conversion starts climbing, and then your campaign might not be profitable. So if you have those things in place, kind of on down the line through that funnel, that can help you convert more clicks from a towing campaign. It can help you kind of make that transition away from call-only ads without totally kind of messing up the profitability of the campaign. So that is a quick rundown on how I built out this towing campaign to try to convert as many clicks as possible into leads. Again, if you are somebody that owns a towing company and you look at all this and you don't want to deal with it, there is a link down in the description below for a free consultation. I can see if I can help you out. Also, if you are somebody who wants to DIY all this, there is a link in the description for a free tutorial, a free course here on my YouTube channel you can check out. But in the meantime, I hope you got a little bit of value out of this video. And if you did, I'd appreciate a like and subscribe. And I hope to see you in the next video. Thanks.